Can this Wazoo offense top this defense at least once this fall camp? Let's talk about it.
If you're interested in being great, you better look hard into Washington State. You want to be great? Go to Washington State, baby.
All right, welcome back on into the Palouse Playbook Podcast. We got none other than Christian Rao and the Kyle Knowles talking Coug football. Got a few announcements before we kind of get taken off here. First and foremost, if you're a Coug that loves supporting Cougs, I do. Check out Bad Birdie and Lauren Thomas. She is a senior exec down here in Scottsdale. I say down here because I'm living in Arizona. I'm excited to go see the headquarters over there, but Calling All Cougs, the Wazoo and Bad Birdie Golf tailgate edit just dropped. And I got to be honest, they didn't put a whole lot of promotion behind this. There is actually, there was no promotion is what I was told. There was zero promotion. And on day one, not only did they almost sell out, they have sold more than any other college that they currently do partnerships with. Cougs, thank you so much. But if you haven't, I wanted to at least get that out to you. This is just some of the gear that they have. I myself put in for the hat on the far right. Now, granted, it's not super cheap. The hat is $48, not including taxes and shipping, all that good stuff, but well worth it. Bad Birdie puts together great, fantastic gear. Have to give him a shout out. Lauren is awesome. She does fantastic work, and she worked really hard to get Wazoo on the map with Bad Birdie. So make sure to head on over there. But second and foremost, I should say, getting through players of the day since the last time we had an episode, talking through scrimmage players of the day. From last scrimmage, we had Maxwell Woods, we had Matthias McLean, we had Jeremiah Bernard on special teams, and Linus Zunk on the line. Matthias McLean and Linus Zunk have really they've started to separate themselves just on on defense. Man, this defensive ends, this defensive line, so fantastic. Moving into day 10 of practice, we have Leo Pulawasi on offense, CJ Salas Lamar on defense, Chris Perry Jr. on special teams, Caden Beatty on the line, followed by day 11, Daniel Blood on offense, DeMarjay Lewis on defense, Miguel Arenas, special teams. Love to see a kicker or a punter anytime that they're mentioned on special teams. Ben Beatty on the line, and then moving into day 12, just yesterday on Thursday. Boy, we're talking really well. On Thursday, Maxwell Woods again. Love seeing that this guy is really separating himself on the offense. DJ Warner on defense. Love that we're seeing him start to separate and do things on at the linebacker position. Galen McNeil, special teams, and Noah Dunham on the line. Love that we have an offensive lineman separating himself from defensive line. This defensive line has just been so tear. There's just been a huge tear. Other cool announcement here. Jaira Leopapatele, Polynesian College Football Player of the Year watch list. Gotta love it. Gotta have it. Go get him, big dog. Some notes from day 12 before we get into our segment here. Notes from day 12. Per Greg Woods, thank you as always to being on there and being able to provide some of the in-betweens. But, and if you're not following him, Greg Woods is awesome. Notes from day 12 of Wazoo Fall Camp, which once again belonged to the Cougars defense. No surprise, no surprise. Linebackers, Isaiah Hung, Carson Reynolds with interceptions. Linebacker, DJ Warner with 2 near picks, making him player of the day that day. And a couple drops from Cougs offense. Kyle, I wanted to kick it over to you. I know that was a handful of announcements. We're already 4 minutes in, but wanted to kick it over to you. What are your thoughts on some of these players that are starting to separate themselves and just your overall thoughts of this fall camp right now?
I think before I get into players, I think we look at this team as a whole, and this might be a way too early take. Again, we haven't played a single game yet. We've only seen these guys play against one another. But I think about 2 particular seasons in particular, the 02 and 2018. 02, we had that heartbreaker Apple Cup. We had potential national championship, Jason Gesser's hurt. We lose in overtime. And then you've got the 2018 Cougs. We had that, what I would say was pretty egregious move by the Pac-12 with the USC debacle. And then we lost in our home Apple Cup that would have got us to the Pac-12 championship, potentially a playoff potential. That's killed us. That's that big game, right? And you look at it going, you need that defense to kind of get you there, right? We finally, is this the defense that gets us over that hump, that gets us the win in the big game that we've always been we've always missed? And I think it might be, because if you think about successful teams, regardless of college, pro, it's about the line. And our D line is disgusting. I mean, and it's not the first wave. Go look at the second wave. I mean, you've got problems. I mean, I made the joke, I think, earlier shows of we've got a hockey line here of defensive linemen with experience that are talented. I mean, by the fourth quarter, these guys are going to be going, has anyone broke a sweat yet? Because I think you can move these guys around. You can package guys. Okay, however, Trent Bray, I wish I could just be a fly on the wall when he's sitting there going, how do I want to mess up an offense today? I mean, he is a kid in a candy store right now with this defense, and it is so much fun, especially because it's a little different than what a lot of the younger Cougs are used to with the Lee, Jera, and the Palouse Posse. That's it's a much older crowd, but I think we're kind of starting to see a little bit of the vintage of what the Cougs used to be, and maybe. Again, I'm not going to even bring that one up yet. Do we have potentially a rival defensive unit that can rival some of these early 90s, 80s Cougs? But bigger than that, do we have a defense that helps us get over the hump? Because this is the Cougs are ready. I mean, we're ready for one of these cool moments, playoff potential. You have a perfect setup with the new Pac-12. I mean, could not be a better recipe for success. And the coaching staff, I think, is set up to do so. So that's my take. That's my crazy take on that. I hope it ages really well.
Well, you went the whole time without saying Couged it. I love that. I love that you went the whole time of saying, oh, we missed the big game, this, that. I'm looking for us to reclaim that and turn that into a net positive. And I agree. I hope that the Kirby Moore era provides that. I hope that we now saying Couged it is meaning winning games that people don't have us claiming. So turning Couged it into a positive, that's in the future. And I think that it's not in the too far future, I hope. You talked about the defense. Christian, I want to toss it over to you. We mentioned some players of the day, but I just wanted to get your thoughts. Who are some players that are sticking out in your mind? You talk Pac-12, you talk Wazoo. What are your thoughts here?
That defensive line is incredible. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Is it seems like, and we see it with these players of the days as well. And I don't even pay attention to the players of the day thing when I'm looking at Pac-12 thing. It's more of the videos I see and other readings along the lines. So like that just adds more fuel to my fire. But it seems like there's at least there's a different defensive lineman being discussed in a positive light almost every single day. And it's really incredible to pay attention to. And I think this wide receiver room is fascinating as well, how deep this wide receiver room has turned into potentially. And I think that's going to come in really clutch because on the flip side, there's a lot of issues with the tight end room right now with the depth and the injury concerns and things like that. So that's what I'm really tracking. But if you're looking at actual players, I think Blood's a fascinating wide receiver. I don't know if we're talking about him enough on an outside perspective. I'm not sure if Washington State fans are talking about him enough or they see him in the depth charts or the two deeps of the wide receiver. But I think he's such a fascinating wide receiver. And the defensive line, man, I mean, where do we start? We talked about the defensive line so much this offseason, from P3 to Zunk to things like that. That's probably where you should start. And McLean obviously has been absolutely insane as well. This is one of those lines. And then you bring in the old school guy, Finau, right? He just coming in. So like there's a lot of really exciting things. And you mentioned it, Kyle, where you're like, if you can get back to the success of where you have under Kirby Moore right away, you're going to have plenty of time to do that right off the bat. You played 3 Power 4 schools in the first 4 games of the year. So you're going to definitely have your prime opportunities. Obviously, it starts against the Apple Cup, but then you're on the road to Manhattan against Kansas State. You're back at home after a Duquesne game and taking on Arizona. I think some of those games are certainly winnable for Washington State, where they sit right now, even with potential concerns of what's going on with that quarterback position.
Yeah, Sony Finau being back. Hot topic that we didn't really discuss, and that's another hot topic. Is this fifth year? That was another. Just in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, these fifth year guys that are getting these portals, and you're seeing guys that are on practice squads or making the 90 plus man roster for these teams, deciding to go back into the portal. I know this is kind of an off the wall. I didn't prep you guys with this question, but if this team had to pivot and pivot quick with a quarterback, do you think that a fifth year starter that's on a practice squad or something out there would be an advantage? I'm not saying it would. I'm just trying to pose the question and just get your guys' thoughts. I know that would be, in my opinion, I think it might be a disservice to the guys that have been fighting each other for the last 8 months. But I wanted to get, Knowlesy, I wanted to get your thoughts first. A quarterback coming in that's a fifth year guy that could potentially, upseat any of these guys. Would that be worth entertaining, or hey, it's 100% a slap in the face to the guys that have been working this hard for the past 8 months? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a disservice not only to the team but to the player, because now it's like, hey, I need you to learn the playbook, all this and that. I need you to get synergy with these receivers, with these running backs. To me, it's just, it doesn't work, especially because, and on top of that, I don't know of a quarterback that, unless there was someone that was in a Kirby Moore system at some point in time that would have been able to pick things up early. I don't think there's a quarterback that is in that situation that could come back and do it. So no. And honestly, it was kind of talked about in some of our other group chats, with how our team is set up. I don't think our offense is everyone's like, oh my God, we're not doing well. I don't think it's that. I think it's our defense is that good. And really what our offense just needs to do, I think for me, and then I think you'll talk about this later, is figure out how to not turn the ball over. Just don't turn the ball over. Manage the game. Figure out how to have drives where you get at least some sort of points on the board and call it a win. That's it. That is, again, this defense, who knows what happens when we play UW. But from what we're seeing, you got guys coming in, and if you look at what Power 4 schools have, it's depth. What does Wazoo have this year on the offense or on the defense side of the ball? Is depth, and in waves that I don't think we've ever seen. Thank you, NIL and the transfer portal for that one. So in terms of the quarterback play, I'm not concerned about that. The offensive play, I think it's just, hey, figure out how to move the ball forward, get points on the board, do not turn the ball over, and let your defense just – I'm looking for some thick sixes. That's what I want to see this year, thick sixes. I am all for that. Let's have some fun.
Christian, I want to pose a similar question, but I want to put a little twist on it because you're able to see from the Pac-12 perspective, which means you're probably also able to see from most conferences' perspective. This fifth-year eligibility, seeing Sony Finau get that eligibility back, we've got him back in the fold. I don't know exactly how he'll be deployed over the season, but I would imagine it would be somewhat early on in the season. He's finally back full-time. From the quarterback perspective, how do you see the rest of this Pac-12 or even just this fifth year in general impacting from a quarterback's perspective?
Not at all. Not from a quarterback perspective. If you would ask me anywhere else, I'd say, yeah, there's going to be some impact. I think from a quarterback perspective, it does nothing because, and I don't think it has anything to do with the fact of being a disservice as much as you want to as a fan think that, but college football has definitely turned itself into a business. So that's certainly not one thing that they're coming into mind. I just don't think there's enough time for them to learn it. Maybe if this thing came out 3 months ago, a different story. But the fact that you're, 2 weeks into playing football, and when this dropped, it was like a month, 5 weeks at most. No, there's just not the synergy, as Kyle mentioned. There's not the opportunity to learn things like that. But you do see defensive linemen. You are seeing wide receivers. You are seeing skill players do it. But it just can't be quarterback. That's the only position that I just don't see having an impact at all. And if they do, it's going to be because they're playing for depth. Like that's it. Like maybe Texas Tech goes and gets a backup quarterback that can sit behind Will Hammond to maybe feel warm and fuzzy because after the Sorsby thing. But no, overall from the Pac-12 and college football as a whole, I don't see quarterback being an issue or an advantage at all for any of these teams for this new 5-for-5 rule or for these new lawsuit rules.
Completely fair. And to be honest, I to give my truth, I actually agree. I think as from the fans' perspective, I think it's a disservice to the guys that have been battling it out for the last 8 months. You have 3 guys that are definitely fighting for a spot. And yeah, the learning the playbook and learning your team within the next 2 weeks, that's incredibly difficult for a quarterback, even a 5th-year experienced one that's already in some training camp or where have you. Wanted to pivot to this offense going through the woes. I know some of you were fighting some of your thoughts to kind of save it for this segment, but this offense continues to go through a little bit of woes, and I agree. I think our defense is incredibly stellar, but what mark of improvement? What else do we need to see over this next couple of weeks? Actually, less than a couple of weeks now. We're coming in. I think we're 16 days out from Apple Cup. So, Knowles, I'll kick it over to you first. What mark of improvement, or what would you like to see from this offense that would say I am stamped on this offense being solid for game 1?
Health. 1, make sure we don't lose any more tight ends. That's been killing us. Getting guys back, like, the wide receiver core is deep, but there's some guys that have been kind of just hampered up. It's okay. It'd be nice to see a kind of a full picture. Get Kirby back. Let's kind of see this whole thing is in totality. But ultimately, it's just execution. Okay, a play goes for 3 yards. Okay, well, this is a really good defense. And they, again, you're playing each other every day. It's hard to not know a play when you've seen it so many times. It's hard. Again, you're not trying to be a practice hero, but eventually it's like, hey, when you're a defensive player, you're probably going, I want to hit the running back. Let me hit the running back. I finally get pads on. You're telling me I can finally wrap up and hit a guy? Yeah, I know they're running trap here. I'm sorry. I'm going to go do what I need to do. I think for me, it's the mistake. It's just and it's hard for me to see because I'm not sitting there watching the practice, but I want to hear from Kirby. We didn't make bad mistakes. We didn't turn the ball over. Guys were on time. You miss a pass, maybe that happens. That's football. But it's more of just it's the correctable things. It's not the overall we had another simulated sack. I feel like that's the killer. It's like, hey, how many simulated sacks can you have when you eventually go, either the quarterback is not comfortable and getting the ball out on time or doesn't know his check down? Those are the things I want to hear be avoided. Hey, we didn't have issues with simulated sacks. We didn't have a misread. Those types of things. And again, you might have onesie twosies, but I think we're kind of at a point of, what's happening. We've got to this point. While we don't know who the starters are, I think they've got a pretty good idea. They're doing their PR work and everything else. It's a business, right? As Christian said, it's a business. You got to play a role eventually. And kind of do those pieces. Now, Kirby has done a great job, and I think he's been kind of a godsend when you think about some of the coaches we have had, where they want to play kind of this. Jimmy was a good example of a guy. It's like, you're going to cause a lot of riffs, or you're going to cause a lot of media to start throwing some shit out there that none of us want to hear. He's been 24th, you will know. You might know sooner, but you will know. You haven't heard a lot of crap come through, which has been, I think, a testament to what Kirby and this staff has done. But at the end of the day, offense just not making very, I'm going to just say JV mistakes. If we hear little about that going into this season with this defense, I think we're going to be seeing some really cool results. We might not see the Leach offensive numbers, but we're going to see the W's. And quite frankly, I like W's.
Well, to add another wrinkling to that, from day 1 to day 2 of them throwing the deep ball, we saw a mark of improvement. It wasn't like this huge mark of improvement, but it was day 1, we were overthrowing our guys. Day 2, they were at least on target with our guys. Was it perfect? No. Was it here? But hearing those little marks of improvement, that's what I want to hear from Coach Kirby and the staff, saying, hey, our guys may not still be perfect, but they're making little little steps here. They're making this, their dropbacks are finally timed up well. They're reading routes really well. They have timing down. They've gained that over the last day. On day 2, we've gained XYZ. We've gained ABC. We've gained a little here, a little there. I want to see little marks of improvement by the time we get to game 1. Our quarterbacks are where they need to be, or the starting quarterback is where he needs to be. I loved hearing that from day 1 of long ball to day 2 of long ball. Christian, popping it over to you. What's a mark of improvement you'd like to see from this Wazoo offense getting ready for not only one of the biggest games of the year playing against UW in Seattle, but also all 4 games that are non-con?
I'm going to say continuity. That's just the biggest thing, because right now you're still battling for quarterback position. You're trying to figure out what's going to work. And obviously it's a work in progress because you have a brand new coach. And unfortunately, Washington State fans know all about that too well, because this is the 3rd straight season that we've had this same conversation. But this one feels different. This one certainly feels different, right? It doesn't feel like we're going to be leaving this one on a word of loyalty. It's going to be leaving with more of an actual stay put kind of thing for Kirby Moore. At least feels different in my opinion, for sure. But overall, I'd like to see continuity, of course, on the quarterback position. I'd like to see this running back room step out and stick out like a sore thumb, because if that running back room can get going early, especially week 1 in that Apple Cup, where they did not do good in last year. I think they had 25 yards total on the ground last year against the Huskies. If they can really step up and just cause havoc. I mean, even to the point where if you don't win that football game, but if you can show you can run the football against Washington, because I do think they're going to have potentially one of the best defenses in the country. I truly do. I hate to say that out loud on a Palouse Playbook podcast, on a Washington State podcast, but man, they might have a very, very good defense. So if that running back room can cause some havoc right off the bat, when Kirby Moore is still trying to gain that identity of what Washington State is going to be entering the season, then look out. CBS Sports already dropped that Washington State's making a bowl game. Their latest projection already had Washington State playing Georgia Southern in the Puerto Rican Bowl. So, I mean, like, they're already Puerto Rico Bowl, excuse me. So they're already having him, be seen as a bowl team. So take that as what you will. Looks like it's going to happen again, but this time Kirby Moore's not leaving. You're going to get a coach for year 2. I can feel that one. Don't worry.
Hey, for all the criticism that we kind of give here over the Blues Playbook, just understand we are all true Cougs. We love this team. There's so much good that this team is going to provide in 2026, led by Kirby Moore, none other, legendary Kirby Moore and Trent Bray. This team is they're going to be set up for success. I go back on my word of saying, if they go 0-4 in their first 4 games, have faith. Have faith. If they lose bad to UW, have faith. This team will surprise you, and they will be good down the stretch, and they will be good past year 1. And I'm pretty positive Kirby Moore is going to stay for year 2, but also I'm going to keep knocking on wood, because geez Louise, we are used to people leaving under 12 months. So for the Blues Playbook, Christian, thank you for hopping on in. We got Kyle Knowles. We got myself, Gavin. Make sure to catch us next week. We got some fun stuff coming from you, especially Apple Cup week, the Purple Hate week, however you want to pronounce it. We got some more stuff coming from you. And make sure to head over to Bad Birdie and get yourself some cool stuff. I'm Gavin Hite. Thanks for checking in. And just remember, life's too short. Gas up your boys.